Alright, so today what we're going to do is we're going to dilute a powder, and then we are going to pull up 2 different syringes with that powder. You'll be doing this in lab. I'm not going to tell you exactly how much I'm putting in or anything because that's part of your worksheet, is to actually do the math. So we'll leave you in suspense on that one. I'm going to go into my sodium chloride vial, swab it 3 times, I'm going to swab my ceftriaxone. Now we talked a little bit about powder volume, Dr. Vega did in a lecture. So what we're going to do is I have looked into the package insert for this drug, and I know exactly how much I need to put into this vial to make it a concentration of 100 milligrams per mil. So that's what I'm going to dilute it to at this time. I'm going to use my cap later, so I'm set it aside. So I'm going to use this again at a later point. I'm going to try not to contaminate it, but if I do, I'll just re-swab it with a new swab. Go into my Rocephin. This one dilutes pretty quickly, so you can kind of shake it up. If it's frustrating and you have some pieces stuck on the side or something and you don't feel like you can do it with the needle in the vial, that's okay. Go ahead and turn it back over. Make sure your syringe has pulled back to equilibrium with air of however much you put in. Then we're going to have to scoop back on our cap. Move these both out of the way. I don't want to scoop back behind anything. Set that right there. Doesn't want to stay. These are harder to stand up than the others, so I'll just lay that down. That's all the way. So I'm going to swirl and shake this drug. I've got a bunch stuck up under this cap. You always want to check behind the label, up underneath the metal, and make sure you get every single little piece of powder diluted. And it looks like I'm done. Now if you feel like you may have contaminated the product, it's okay to go ahead and re-swab it before you go back into the vial to pull up the drug. Make sure I get that last little bit out. Perfect. So I have a 250 milligram vial and I have 2.5 mils of fluid. So that means I did get a concentration of 250 milligram per 2.5 mils, so that's 100 per 1. That's what I was looking for. I'm going to set this out of my way because I'm going to come back to it. So a lot of times when we dilute drugs like this, we can't actually send it at the initial concentration to be given IV. We have to further dilute it. So what I'm going to do today is, I'm going to get that out of the way first, and then I'm going to use some more of that sodium chloride to further dilute this drug to a total of 5 mils in 2 different doses. So instead of a 250 milligram one dose, I'm going to do 2 125 milligrams in 5 mil doses. So to be on the safe side, since it's been a while and I may have contaminated, I'm going to go ahead 2, 3, and wipe that vial. So if you haven't done the math, you're going to have to do it in your head at this point, and you're going to put 1.25 mils plus whatever it takes of saline to make a total of 5 mils. So I'm going to pull up the 3.75 mils, some air in there. And even just doing this one project, you can see that there's so much in my hood, it's kind of hard with this limited space. You have to be very careful not to contaminate. Alright, 3.75. So there's one of my 3.75, and I'm going to go ahead and show you the what I call the old-fashioned or cheaper way of filling up a syringe. So I know I'm going to fill it to 5, so I'm going to pull back. You're going to put your needle in your needle pile that's further back, remember, from your regular trash. So now you can see I've got all the air at the top, and I've got about 1.25 mils of air. So now what I'm going to do is place this needle inside that hub and slowly push till I get to 1.25 on this syringe. Still going to use this other dose. I'm going to scoop that back on carefully, place that away. So pull it back. And then I kind of shake it to mix it because you want to make sure you get the drug throughout. Slowly push back up to your 5 dose. And I'm going to cap it. I've seen a lot of hospitals and facilities do it this way so that they don't have to buy the extra piece. I would recommend it just for sake of sterility, but you may go to a rotation site that you see that done often. So for the second one, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and pull up. Another 3.75 mils. I've used equilibrium pressure almost the whole time on this vial, so this last time I didn't put any in, and I should be able to pretty easily get my dose out. 3.75, done. Done with that. It's pretty much empty. I throw it into my trash pile, and I'm going to scoop that lid back on. Alright, so this device is kind of cool. It lure locks in just like your needle. And it's called a rapid fill connector. You have to be kind of careful though, because you don't want to contaminate. So I'm going to go ahead and pull off the top of this one so I can have it ready to go, since it will kind of sit. Haha, there we go. Now I'm going to open this up and carefully touch the outside of this little red piece. You don't want to touch either of the parts that are going to connect to your syringes. And that just screws in, just like a syringe needle would. Then you're going to take off that one and connect it to the other side. Then to mix, you're going to press your drug down into your syringe, and to get it nice and dilute, we'll go back and forth. And that's kind of how you can mix it up. So I want to keep my sterile sites covered while I'm doing other things, so I'm going to go back, my needle in my needle pile. I'm going to pull this back. My syringe fell. So pull it back. This whole thing can go into our trash pile now. We're going to put on that next cap. Split a vial, 2 doses, and 2 different methods of doing it. That's what we're going to do next.